Now this is gonna be tricky. I don't have one screen, so I can't do that much. So you just have to deal with. This is gonna be tricky. I don't have one screen, so I can't do that much. So you just have to deal with. Okay. So let me see. I'm just trying to figure out how to do chat. That's a good question. All right. So, the plan today, I'm going to do a quick test in the. Let me. This is gonna be an interesting train wreck. So I've got that up so I can see the chat here, and maybe. Hang on. Right. Okay, I can sort of see the live chat as well, maybe, theoretically. So we'll find out how this goes. All right. So, hopefully you can hear me. Feel free to chat in the Discord or YouTube channel to tell me if you can hear me. If not, this is going to be a very quiet session. Now, the goal is I'm going to do a quick warp volume tutorial to sort of see that works. And then I'm going to look at starting block out a karaoke establishment. I got some ideas for that. So we'll figure out how that goes in the next hour or so. So hopefully you can join me. Need to sort of figure out how. I don't know. It'll do. All right. So basically, this is the space startup. This is the space starter that I've created from the template file. So this is downloaded. I exported that to this, and then I opened that with the Unity hub, which is here. So add and that folder here. Then I open it, and then we have this. Next up, I need to go load space scenes from the Mono window. And then we've got that. And then we right mouse click on untitled, go remove scene. And that's it. I could build this if I wanted to. But we're not going to because there's more to do. If this is the first time you've used Unity, I do find that using like this one column layout is much cleaner to work with. So that's a thing you can use. And then you can use sort of like save layout here if you wanted to. So I think if I've done save layout, and I think if I call it default, that will overwrite the default layout. So next time I open it, it'll look like this, which is kind of what I like to do. That said, I will usually pull up the, where is it, rendering lighting window for when I get to light mapping. I will also pull up the package manager. So I will sign in. Any packages that I might have, they will be here if I need them. So usually I'll keep that sort of there as well. But for the most part, it's just these ones as needed. So I'm going to go save layout, default, save again, done. Okay. So let's have a quick look at the new warp function. So I'm going to go F to zoom in on this so I can just focus when I rotate. It's sort of like around that action. So we're going to need two assets. So first we need the warp object. So let's go warp. Just do that. Now that's just an empty game object. And we're going to put our asset on that. So let's go add component and then type in warp. And then you'll see the mono warp. If the mono warp doesn't come up, that's because you may not have the latest template. So make sure you get the latest template, and that should be in there. Mono warp. Now this warp point is any object in your space. Now it could be an empty game object, so you sort of know exactly where that goes to, or it could be an asset that you already have. Note that if you have any colliders on that asset, so for example this one, then your avatar would be pushed out of that because it already has a collider. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to create an empty game object actually. Warp target. Like so. So we need to go pivot and local so I know where they are. So that's there. Now, the problem is, as soon as I click on that, I have no idea where my warp target is. So I'm going to add, by right mouse clicking, 3D object cube. And then I'm going to put that sort of down there, just to show where I'm meant to go. So as you can see, the pivot, if I press on that, it goes 2D. So that's below. So I'm actually going to put that a bit higher. So let's say there. And then move the cube down a bit to there. Then we have our warp target. Now this box has a box collider. It doesn't really need one, so I'm just going to remove that. Okay, so we have a warp target and we have our warp. Now that we have our target, I'm going to drag this onto this. Now it's not the cube because that's just a visualization. It's just the warp target. And the blue direction is the forward direction. So if I want to, I can change the angle of my character to face the blue. Or whatever direction I walk into the warp will be how I turn up at the warp. So you've got a few options there. Now the last thing we need to do on our warp volume is add a collider. So I'm going to put a box collider. Now this one is still at 0, 0, 0. So I'm going to put this over, where can we put it? In between just there. Once again, you can't see this, so I'm going to add another box. Actually, let's do a sphere, just to show. And I'm going to remove the collider on that one. Okay. So when I touch this cube, I will teleport to that location. That's basically it, really. So box collider. And that's it. So let's give it a shot and see how we go. Now, if you're new to Unity, I just use the playground at the top right here. That will build these playground files, and it will load up this website. And you can actually just drag these objects into that asset. Now, once you've done that, I do recommend, or after you've tested your space, to delete your playground files, because sometimes it will not update if you build to the playground. So that is a good habit to get into. Okay, so we have our sphere, which is the warp, and we have our asset where we're going to warp to. So as soon as I touch the cube around this thing, I won't do anything because I always forget to do this. So close that down, delete these. Now what's happening is our warp collider is actually a collider, so I can't walk into it, and therefore I can't trigger. So all I have to do is make this is trigger, put that on a true. Therefore, when I walk into it, it will trigger the event, which is warp volume. So I did that on purpose so I could show that that's how it works. So once again, because I deleted the files, these will be updated. You can turn up and then have a look at our teleport. So there we go. So notice how if I go like that without use direction, I'm facing the direction I warp into. So you can use that in interesting ways. But once again, if you set the, let's do an example. If I set the warp to use rotation, this one here, I will appear facing that way every single time. So the blue is the forward facing direction of the warp. So let's make sure I've deleted the things. Yep. Playground one more time. And there we go. Okay. So this time let's go that way, and then you will notice that I will be facing that direction because that's how I set that parameter. So you go there. That's a quick example of warp zones or warp volumes. I look forward to seeing what people do with it. See how creative you can get. But of course, if anything, you can use it. Now, of course, in this case, I've made two visible things. You don't need to, of course. How you use that simple thing is completely up to you. But in this case, I made a very simple sort of sphere to show that's the warp, and a square to show that's the target. So go. That is warp volumes. I have done a tutorial on that, which you can check out. I believe you can check out on the Mona tutorials YouTube, and there is a documentation on the docs.mona.gallery as well. So have at it. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing some of the creative stuff that people are making. So yeah. So that's that. Now, for the rest of today, I was thinking of starting to toy with the karaoke room. Because I didn't get to karaoke at the New York NFT event, I'm going to make one so we can do it. And we'll figure out the details in the future. So in that case, we're going to need some Blender. Of course, I am happy to take on any questions if I can see them. As it stands, I can see questions in the YouTube channel, and I can pop over to the general chat as well. If anyone has any questions, they are more than welcome to ask, and if I catch it, I can help you with those. So we'll see how that goes. I do not have my 3 screens at home. I'm still in LA. So there's that. Certainly an interesting challenge. But yeah, all right. So, karaoke room. So let's do a quick search on karaoke rooms. Let's see if we can get some inspiration, shall we? Now, coming from Japan, karaoke rooms are a thing. I'm just trying to like, have I been to any of these? Maybe. Yeah, this looks pretty accurate. So, in Japan, anyway, I don't know how many other countries do karaoke, but in Japan, you have two approaches. You have a karaoke bar, which is just a bar that happens to have karaoke, and then you have the karaoke booth experience, which is kind of what we're going with these. Some of the rooms can be quite small. Some of the rooms can be quite big. Some of them can be very flashy. Some of them can be very noisy. There's a whole range of karaoke experiences depending on where you go and all that sort of stuff. Usually they charge by the hour. So you just rock up, sing a few songs, like all you can drink half the time. And my favorite, of course, has the unlimited ice cream, which is the bomb. So there's a lot of room for interpretation when it comes to karaoke rooms, like a Doraemon style. So yeah, it's kind of like how do you even categorize these? Not sure. But what I'd like to do maybe is I want to make the check-in area, once again, creating that sort of real world experience, so like a connection, but then have some spaces which are very realistic and some that are really like way out there, and using portals or artifacts to link to other destinations so people can submit different karaoke rooms that they want to do. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. But first we need a base. So I'm probably going to go the sort of traditional approach, which is kind of like this style, maybe. It's like garish, but not, and see how that goes. So that's the plan. And for that, we do need some 3D. So let's do that. So we're in Blender. Now, of course, you don't have to build a space in Blender. You could use 3D Studio Max. You could use Maya. You could use SketchUp. You could use Rhino and Revit. The big problem is with Rhino and Revit, they're not really designed for game development, so the poly count is usually quite high. So there are ways around that. I think the latest Rhino has a remeshing tool, which is a step in the right direction for the sort of spaces that you would be creating in Mona, and keeping that texture count sort of lower, or material count lower as possible, just to optimize the space in a WebGL experience. So I'm actually going to delete the camera and the light, don't need them. We have a box. I'm going to press tab to go into edit mode, and one, two, three changes mode from vertex to line to edge. So this is kind of the block out. I'm not really going to design the space exactly. I'm just going to play around with what I want it to look like. So this is on the bottom, so I'm going to have to flip that normal. So mesh, normals, flip, and then pull that up to the 0 with a G. Nope. G and Z. Once again, if you have any questions in regards to Blender, feel free to ask. So let's scale that up a lot, just to get a feel for a floor. Now, when it comes to EZ, so let's do a 3 meter high. Yep. 3 meter high. Now, what I'd like to do is the entrance. I'd like to have sort of elevators. So in that case, I'm actually going to zip out and go to add mesh cube. Now, in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to have maybe 3 elevators, but each elevator is actually just a copy of the same object. That way I can sort of create an asset that way. That is duplicated, and that will save some, what would you call it? Improve the optimization of the space. So I'm going to do that. After some tweaks to this, such as this one. So, I'm actually going to get rid of this one because we don't need them. Or do we? Yeah, we kind of do. And I'm going to Shift D, duplicate that one. Rotate that around here. Then we want to bevel that. So we have that sort of door. Now, if you do something like this and you want to tweak some of the assets, like how many lines and things, if you pull that up, you can do segments, for example. So I can do that, which is what I want because I just want to move that back, like so. Pressing Alt and clicking will get the whole edge loop, and this is why edge loops are very useful because it will save time in the long run. So if you can make an edge loop for your asset when you're making it, super useful. Okay. So we have our elevator, I guess. Now, to my knowledge, actually, let's do a quick check. Standard elevator dimensions. Commercial. It's, as a non-American, the fact that everything is in feet is really annoying. I don't even understand what any of that is. I just want a simple answer. Home elevator. Who has a home elevator? How about this one? A bit wider than that. A double elevator, please. Okay. 120. That can't be right. I'm taller than that. No, front. That bit. This. I want this. Give me this. The minimum depth of this type of elevator should be width. Okay. Maybe I'm asking the wrong question. Elevator door dimensions. Okay. Now we're talking. Even in millimeters. This is excellent. 1.8, really? That doesn't seem right. Okay, so maybe something like this. We'll give it a shot. Where are we? Here. Now I don't know. Now if you pull this up over here, there's a little arrow. You can actually look at the dimensions of the whole object. So say, for example, this is 2 by 2 by 0.2. But if I go to, let's say, 1.1, enter. That'll be pretty good. A bit small maybe, so let's go 1.2. Yeah, that works. Now, because of the scale, this is a bit off, so I'm just going to edit, scale X, and eyeball it. For the most part, like, I think in a monospace, eyeballing is mostly fine, unless you're doing pre-visualization of a real thing. Whatever looks good does the trick. That said, like poly count is important, so don't eyeball that. Try to get that as low as possible. But when it comes to dimensions and things like that, I think I usually use the eyeball method, just because it does the trick. So I got that. Now this is going to be one-sided because it's just going to go into a wall, and I just want to get that sort of line there, and that'll do for now. Now I would make a prefab of this door and then make duplicates in that wall, and then we have a elevator door. So elevator. Actually, let's go by category. Alrighty. Now, the reason I'm leaving it there in the center, even though I would be putting it back there, is when I import an asset into Unity, the origin point is where it gets imported. So if I had this over here and save that out, I would this distance would always be there every time I load the asset in, which is not what you want. So I'm going to leave it there, and for now, just leave it. Okay, so we have our 3 elevators, for example. Now, after that, you'll probably have a counter. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to press F. That is a super useful add-on, I believe. So add-ons. So go to Preferences, go to Add-ons, and look for F2 and mesh F2. So it does things like put a polygon where it should be. It's pretty smart, actually. It's quite very useful. So if you pressed F and it didn't do that, that is the add-on you will need to do. Okay. Next up, we need a counter. Yeah. Haley, I should have checked. Can you hear me? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. You can hear me. This is the new setup on the laptop, so I'm not sure how. Well, yeah. I don't know. I live in a dream world, man. Everything's real. I'm glad you can hear me, because otherwise I've been talking a lot for no reason whatsoever. Okay, what was I doing? I was making a counter. That's what I was doing. Okay, tab to get out of object mode, add mesh cube. These are usually like 1 meter. Excellent. Glad that's working out. If you hold control when you're moving things around with G, it'll snap. So that's super useful for these situations. Now, I'm actually going to move this one across. That's a good area, I think. So if I use the period on the keypad, I will snap to an object. I don't have a keypad. So that's not a thing I can do. I'll have to figure that out. Okay. Scale Y. Yes. This is the karaoke version of Age of Empires, where the only way to build anything is by singing on key. And if you don't sing on key, then you lose. That sounds like an amazing mod for Age of Empires. Make it so. All right. What am I doing here? So I'm going to use Control R. We want to sort of, yep. Delete that one. Faces. Line, line, F. Line, F. We'll get to that in a sec. Hang on, there's a lot of stuff going on. Yes, it is. It is, but I don't think it's not exactly the most entertaining. That said, like, let's pull it up. So I'm sure it's in preferences. Key map, key binding. No. Input. Nope. Navigation. Nope. Interface. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere. System. Nope. Key map. Yeah, no, this is it. So I can do it if I want to. So what would this be? This would be object. There's a lot. You can do so many things in Blender. Like before, what was it? 2.78. Blender changed the UI to something that's useful. So nowadays I'll use a mix between hotkeys and UI, but before that it was purely hotkeys. You could not use Blender if you didn't know the hotkeys. So I'm happy they've come a ways since then. But there's a lot of stuff. What if there's search? What would it be? Object focus. Focus? Nope. Not sure. Yeah. But that's where you would do it. Key map and type in all of the things. I'm just not well versed enough because I usually have a keypad. Property editor? Yeah, anyway. Right. Actually, when you start with Blender, they actually say one of the options is how do you want hotkeys to work? And Maya is one of them, I think. So there are ways to make the Blender experience more like either 3D Studio Max or Maya. I think when I transitioned from 3D Studio Max to Blender, I wanted to learn Blender because when you have tutorials and all those sort of things, they'll always use kind of the Blender keys. So I sort of stuck it out, and it wasn't that hard. But yeah, there's definitely ways to go about your setup according to the way you want to use it. So adding slices with Control R. Allows you to do some cool stuff. And then, of course, E. There for now. I do want this to continue, I think. So I'm going to E that one as well. Cool. Alt, delete, dissolve edges. The best noises are Blender noises. Now, for block out, I don't necessarily need to clean all these up, but I don't know. I like getting into the habit of just making everything as clean as possible every single step of the way. Now, I don't want to delete that one because of that. So I'm going to see if this works. Yeah, there we go. It's all nice and tidy. Other tools that I do use occasionally is the knife tool. So if I press K, you got the knife tool over here as well. This one. Yeah, that one. So I'm just going to randomly pick one. And I'll clean it up in post. Works every time. That was not straight in any way, shape, or form. There we go. Tell you, man. Karaoke, age of karaoke. Where is there it is. Okay. Yeah, no, it's fine. Let's give it a shot. So there's this extract. Is it extract manifold? I think it is. So now that I know which one it is, I'm going to give that a shot. Go down to about there. Now, I don't think the vertices would have been, so I'm just going to merge vertices by distance. And that's not big enough because that's always really quite small. So I'm going to do 0.1. 7 vertices. That sounds good. So there we go. So we have our counter, basically. Now, what I'd like to do is have sort of like a glow under that. So for that, I'm actually going to do that. And I found that the best example of that is by sort of actually extruding this a little bit. And I'll need to do that as well, just to make it clean. So I'm going to grab that. That's up against the wall, so I don't need to do that one. Cool. Right. And then you have like an emissive glow under that, and that will be in the light map, which will be very nice. But yeah, so there's that. Right, and once again, clean some of this up. So, let's grab that and hope that this is okay. No. Now, I think if I had an idea that like this is what I wanted to make before I made it, I would probably be able to make it faster and probably better. But unfortunately, most of the time, I don't know. I will make it as I go. So, for example, this object here is not very neat. And it's like a couple of polygons, so it's not even that much of an issue. But I don't know, bit of a perfectionist of sorts. And that polygon does, for example, doesn't need to be there, so I'm going to delete that one. Things like that. So yeah, just precision builds for optimized spaces. But say, for example, I could get this, press F, and it'll go down there, which is all very neat. Press F here, and it goes down a bit, which is not what we want, really. But it's not hard to fix. Now, the other option with a lot of this is, for example, I can go GZ0. Hang on. No, that's right. So GZ0. Why doesn't that work? Just GZ then. Fix it in post. Okay. There we go. The perfect counter. So we'll have the stuff there. Yeah. That's the point of projects, is to realize how badly you've done it. But yes, I definitely feel those. Okay, so that's great. Now, next thing I'm going to do is a bit of texturing. Now, with this sort of thing, this is where I'm still not technically well versed in regards to how many draw calls is this. I could like very easily make this 3 materials. So I'd have the emissive, sort of like a, I don't know, a colored material at the top and like a different material. So that's 3, but that's too many. So I'm trying to get better at like, how can I make this one draw call? And I could do this with a trim sheet, for example. And if I'm spacing, like if I'm designing my whole space to have a very similar vibe, so I would have, let's say just off the top of my head, a black marble or something, and a white marble, and maybe some lining of some sort. I would create one texture with 3 of those, and then just start building using the UVs on the assets that I create with that texture in mind. So once again, I'll probably stick to the block out for today, and then get back to the trim sheet approach a bit later. So we've got that there. And maybe that's a bit... Go to X road so it can go through. About there. That's good. Okay. So we have, all right, let's do 2 elevators here. Now I kind of want a party room karaoke here. And then at the end, and this is the weird thing with the metaverse, is like, if you're wanting to create a safe transition to Web 3.0, then you would design your space to have all of the things that the real world does. So I would have vending machines, well, maybe not vending machines, like post-mix machines. So when I walk into the space, I know exactly what this space is. But if you're sort of creating a space that's more about artistic vision or like psychology or like interesting developments of that sort of thing, then you would definitely not do that because I can't drink in the metaverse yet. So maybe we'll get there one day, but it'll be a while. If anything, we got Uber Eats, so you could order a Coke, maybe, if you click on that. So these are the sort of decisions that you have to make. I think for my I like the idea of being really quite realistic at the start. But as you get deeper into the karaoke booths, they just start getting weirder and weirder. So the first one, the party room, is going to be 100% real world sort of thing. But then the how would you say it? The rooms, like the individual rooms, start getting a little bit weirder. So I think that's my strategy for the Monaoki space. So I got a relatively large, maybe there. Right, cool. Then we need the party room, about 6 meters. We'll have to scope this out and see how it feels, I think. Press F to do that. And we probably need a cut here somewhere. So we want the party room to be pretty big. Maybe there. Cool. Now this space I'm actually going to separate. So separate, selection, and then I can sort of create this as a separate experience. So that allows me to do that. Focus purely on this. Okay. Alrighty. Next up, we're going to need a door to walk through. And I want this to be sort of all windows. So how can we do that? Let's do a cut. Nope. Get rid of that one. Not that way. That way. Uh, 1.5. Let's make that a bit higher. Nope. 2 meters. 1.8. 1.8. High doors. High doors are cool. Let's do that. Okay. Now, once again, could be doing this a lot easier. I do things quickly. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. What have I done? Okay, I'm gonna delete that. Delete that. Delete that. It'll be fine. There we go. What is it? Alt plus? Nope. Control plus. Nope. Shift plus. Nope. Oh, that's right. Man, not having a keypad. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I want all my things back. Grow. Mesh. Edge. Face. That's the one. Grow. Be here. Okay, fine. We'll the old-fashioned way then. That's actually probably what we need to do. So I'm going to separate that into a selection. Get rid of these because we don't need them anymore. All right, then we can focus on the door. There we go. Yep. Do we want an actual door in there? Yes, because it's karaoke and you need soundproofing. So definite yes. Now for these, I'm just using the S. What am I doing? S, Y, and 0, just to sort of flatten that out. It's quite a good way to sort of do that kind of thing. I can use Control L to select a whole object. So that's good. All right, G. There we go. Okay, now with the door, we actually want that separate from the frame because we want that to be animated when we get close to the door. So I'm going to keep that name as is, but I'm going to separate that. So separate selection. So what's that? That's the. What are we doing here? Okay. Okay, that's door frame. The door then. The elevator is there. Space. Yep. Main. I highly recommend getting used to naming correctly as early as you can and get into the habit of that. It's very frustrating when you have like 20 objects and you don't know what any of them are. So, for example, cube, not so useful. So let's do that counter. Right. So now I'm in the know. Now notice in Blender you don't know the normals, like the directions of things, which makes things difficult when you put it into Unity, which is one-sided objects only. If you go to here, so we're in object mode, go here and then go face orientation. Red is basically, so red would be see-through in Unity, and blue is the solid. So say for example the counter is fantastic, the frame's good, and this is okay because when I go inside the room, it'll be blue, which is what we want. So that's fine, but we will need to create an asset on the other side of this so you can see the polygons on that side as well. So there's definitely elements in regards to how you can look at your normals. The other approach is if I go to edit mode, go to this, and then go here, and depending on the scale of it, go to mode 3. And where is it? Is it too small? I can't see it. Okay. Usually, you'll see little. It's probably because it's on the wrong direction. Okay. So yeah, that's a good example. So the line facing out, and make sure that it's not going through as well. So if you go like that, you sort of the start of the point going outwards, so the normal is facing that line. So very, very useful tools in regards to making sure. But in this case, I actually think face orientation is the better way to go. So that's cool. But only applies when you have X-ray mode off. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is creating kind of a glass wall to here, so you can see people singing and whatnot. But then this is all wall on this side. So let's take this one. Let's turn that off. And then we've got this action of just creating that. Now I'm going to extrude X, no, Y, maybe there. I think that's good. And as it stands, for example, this one is not connected to the ground at all. So I'm actually going to knife this asset here and move it over to there. Press space to lock that in, and then just connect those two assets or two polygons, connect those two vertices together, and that way, when I move it, it's all connected. You don't need to do that for Mona, but once again, clean is good, I guess. And I can put that over there. And the next thing I need to do is sort of like cut a hole in that frame. So I'm going to use K for knife. And then just randomly put those in. Delete that. And there we have, once again, just putting those on. Most polygons are recommended to be polygons. Once again, it's not compulsory, but it does help organize your space and where the polygons are a little bit better. So I find that I will pretty much always do it. Useful technique for that sort of thing. So scale Z, move that up slightly into the frame. SY, yep, 0. good. Move that across just a little bit. And scale Y0. Move that across a little bit as well. So we have our frame. Now notice here, like you can already see that there's a bit of Z fighting where two polygons are in the same space. Now in this situation, that's actually okay because the normals are facing in different directions. That said, I am going to actually move these a little bit forward because that's how physics works. They've got that. And you got this back wall as well. Like so. All right. So this is going to be glass. This is going to be glass. This is going to be all sort of a block in there. And then you have the stage up here with some screens. So that's basically that. And once again, let's go to face orientation. So notice how that's blue. What's red? Why is that red? Because that's flipped. So if you have an all red object when it should be blue, basically you can go to tab, select all of the object, and once again, go into X-ray so you can make sure it's all selected. Go to mesh, normals, and flip. That way, when you turn off X-ray, it's all blue, which is what we want. Okay. All right. Now, I probably put drinks up here, and then this is where the walking begins. The maze, the labyrinth, whatever you want to call it. Karaoke spaces are all of these things. That said, I do want to sort of focus on the party room because, it's the party room. Okay. Okay, so I need to probably get a better feel for how this space is feeling. If it's too small, if it's too big in Mona, so that's a big thing. So basically, I'm going to add a really quick, like couch. So that should be pretty easy to do. Just cut that across there. Sure. Now, I would probably design this around being a modular environment, so I can have sort of the couches in more than one place. But once again, for now, we want to just create an asset that gives us a feel for what we're doing. So let's just do that now. And for this argument, let's just Shift D to duplicate, to rotate it, G for there. And again, I could do this in Unity if I wanted to, but this is a very, very fast sort of speed run. Yep, cool. All right. So I'm just going to grab all of it, export that into our desktop space under assets, models, and just to keep on top of it, temp, block out. Selected objects up here. Apply transform. Actually, I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna select all of the objects in object mode, Control A, and then go all transforms. And this will make sure that everything is the right scale that it thinks it is. So a lot of these assets I've scaled up, and if I didn't do that, it wouldn't make as much sense to Unity. Once again, because of its blockout, I don't have to worry about that. But once again, good habit to get into. Temp blockout. Select objects. Export. Okay. Now we have our warps. I'm actually going to get rid of those because we don't need those. Any questions to warps? Feel free to ask in 3, 2, 1. Nope, too slow. Don't need them. Okay, so we have a model. I'm hoping we have a model. Yes, we do. Put that there. I'm actually going to delete the floor. Got that there. Yeah, not too bad. And for these purposes, I'm going to just use a mesh collider. I will not be doing that at the end, but I can do it now. And let's put the spawn point and the portal. Let's just put it at the front. I think that'd be kind of cool. Just to see what it looks like. So we're going to have one elevator there. Control D, yep. And another one of them there. Now these have to be unique names, so I'm just going to quickly name that too. That's good to go. Now this asset, I do not want a mesh collider because I want to be able to run into it. So remove component. What happens if I... Yep, we can run through there. Cool. All right, let's see how that feels. What's the problem here? Not tall enough. Cool. Save. Let's give it a look. Kind of interested. Properties. It is. Is that because it's not going to work? Is that going to work? Is that how small Alv has got it? He has 250K. The guy's a madman. Well done, Alv. Okay. So elevators, that feels about right. Ceiling might be a bit low because you sort of want to go higher. And if I go out like this, you might want to do that. I also need a roof. So there's that. There's your stuff here. That's kind of cool. All right. Let me in. There we go. Now, in all my experiences as a karaoke booth party room person, this is close, oddly enough. But I think maybe 1 more meter wide. And then I think we're good. So we can do that. Put a little table in there, and I think we're good. Oh, and a stage. We need the stage up here as well. That's good. Maybe a slightly higher door. I think these ones are good for elevators. This could be a little bit higher. And then, yeah, the labyrinth up here. Okay, cool. Delete the playground files. They're taking too much of my hard drive space. Alrighty. So, back here. We need to. Where's the door frame? And the door, if I recall. Nope, that one and that one. Yep, let's and the space. And the space. Grab all that, move that up. About there. There. Cool. Yeah, that was good. I think this area was nice. Vending machines and self-help post mix there. Okay. Now let's see. Let's grab these two. About a meter. Yep. That was a bit long. Trying to get rid of that one. And we also need the stage. So let's let's just add a cube. Okay, so the portals, as they are, will teleport you to a minted space. Yes. So you can use artifacts to teleport to a wallet space as an address, but the portals are used for minted spaces. So you can link to any spaces that have been minted. Yeah. So in my case, like I would probably have these doors going to somewhere that looked outside of a karaoke booth establishment, if I could find one, or just not link out, because portals are optional. So it could be that that's where you spawn, so it feels like that's where you're meant to be when you enter the space. But if I wanted to, I don't need to have a portal if I don't want to. So you would just go to a different space or something else. So yeah, lots of options with portals and artifacts and canvases and all that sort of stuff. Small rays, 20 centimeters. Yeah, that's the walking. That one? No, this one. This one. Go. So notice how the what is it? Extrude manifold will get rid of that edge there, which is really good. If you just use extrude region, it will actually keep it. So very, very useful to save on a bit of that. Let's go about there. Now, of course, you'd have microphone, and we'll have some, like a big TV behind there that could be a canvas, actually. Yep, nope, that makes sense. So that would be a canvas behind there that I would make it look like a television that would hook into a live stream or, basically a live stream karaoke channel, I guess. So that would be that. Now, in this case, we are... That's actually going to be glass. So that actually does need to be on. That said, the back and this side does not need to be there. So I'm just going to delete those. Every polygon counts. We also don't need the underneath. All right. I need television. No, the important things. How big do we want a television? What do we got? There we go. So I got 0.1 on that one. Now we need this to be 16 by 9. So let's just go 0.9 and 1.6. And then we can just scale that up to super big. And then we have our beginnings of a big TV. Now notice how here that is smaller than this, and this is a really good example of the all transforms. So because this thinks it's a 1 by 1, a 2 by 2 by 2, it's going to scale things in a different way. But if I go Control A, all transforms, and then scale it, it will be correct. So that's very important when it comes to these sorts of things. Let's put it pretty deep, and then the canvas can fit inside that. So that's a good thing to do there. All right. So once again, just a block-out TV. Like so. All right, so we need a microphone here. I kind of want to make it, just to make it look like the part. Yeah, sure, why not? Yep, I kind of want to. Okay, so add. Let's do a cylinder this time. Now, cylinders in OpenGL need to be as low as possible. Like 32 is like, that would have to be a massive object. And for a thing like a microphone stand, I would actually probably do maybe 5, possibly 6. It's a pretty important, like it's up the front of the stage, people will stand behind it, so you kind of want a good quality one. So I'm going to make that 6. And that should do. So make sure that the biggest challenge for a lot of these assets is, how do I, like curves, it's basically curves. And how to optimize that in both sort of, how do I make it look good but not cost everything. And that's a very tricky balance between the two. So yeah, basically one of the things you can do is focus on the silhouette. Like you will get the edging that I guess you could see, and then use normal maps. So bake a high polygon asset onto a low polygon asset, which is a whole tutorial, and I've done some on workshops, I think. But yeah, being able to project a high quality asset onto a low polygon asset with a texture. So it costs you a texture, but it is lower polygon, like considerably lower polygon. So every game character that you've seen for the last 15 years probably has used a normal map approach. So it's pretty standard. So it's just balancing polygon count, texture count, and detail to win the game. If you can call it that. Okay. So that's that. Now, this is going to be a bit tricky, I think. I wish I had my keypad because then I could focus on this. All right. Now the other thing we need to do is that's faceted. So I just want to go object shade smooth, and that's much better. The problem is we have the top up here and the bottom. That will sort of do some interesting things. So I'm going to go to this one, normals, auto smooth. I'm also going to do mark sharp at the top and bottom. Like so. And what I've found has been quite beneficial is adding weighted normal to the asset and go keep sharp and go corner angles, I think it is. I forget exactly what it was. Why isn't that working? Probably because that's too low. So let's go 60. Let's go 90. There we go. So as you can see, this is all smooth and that's very sharp, which is what we kind of want. Now, next up. I'm probably going to need to make like a really nice sort of three-pronged sort of thing at the end there. So for today, let's do something real quick. So I'm going to duplicate that. Let's just that there. Scale it up a bit because this is a microphone after all. We also need a sphere. And this falls under the curve problem. So we need which one is it? I think UV sphere. And let's put that down to 12 and see what that looks like. Way too high. Here we go. So let's go down to maybe 6 and 6. We could go higher than that. Let's go 8 and 8. That'll be good. Because the thing is, like, this asset is going to be very, very small as well. So let's go. Which mode are we going to go? Wireframe. Yeah, there we go. Go over here. Scale that way down. And we have our broken mic. And once again, this is all very, what would you call it? Cool. Yeah, that works. So that's fine. What else do we need to do? Once again, we're going to space things out a little bit to get a feel for our assets. Let's move that across a bit. These were in the wrong room. So make sure these are in the actual right room. And the overlap there, which is good. Let's extend that one maybe to there. That works. And we also need some tables. So let's do some quick tableage. Another cube. Now, if I recall, how does this work? So put it there. Once again, I'll probably make one table and then make a prefab and then duplicate that around the space. But for today, we're just going to keep it pretty simple. Once again, block out, block out. sort of there. Yeah, maybe a bit less. Half a table there. So it'll be good because I want people to be, maybe just put it closer. Like that. Yeah, that's good. Okay, let's do that. Cool. So we have our party room basically. Yeah, all right. Let's save that out. Now, when I override that, I can jump in and it will update because Unity is great. Right. I'm just going to duplicate this one for now, and then I'm going to make that real time, but I'm not going to have shadows. So no shadows. Put that down to like 0.4. Now, cool. I need to do a ceiling actually. Let's get the ceiling going. Now, once again, we have to make sure that's the right way, which it is. So that's good. And this is empty, so that's also fine. Cool. Now, that asset, we don't actually need to be over there. We just need to get rid of that. So let's move that out of the way. There we go. Okay, let's try again. Now this will be a good example of see how we can see there, but if we go like that, it now has a ceiling. So that is the case with all polygons in that they are one-sided in Unity. There are two-sided, what do you call it? There are two-sided shaders, but they are more expensive. So you can get around it if you need to, but you kind of really, really need to. I'm just going to hide that this time. That's cool. Alrighty. Save this. Build this. Alrighty. Yeah, this is pretty accurate size, I think. Walking around. And all that. Okay, so we can get up here. That is a very, very small. So the microphone has to be bigger. Maybe double. Yeah, another third. Screen good. Maybe a little bigger. Seats are about the right size. Could be a little higher. Tables are a bit high because they're usually a bit lower. You can walk around it, so that's good. So yeah. Okay. Getting there. Yeah, cool. All right. Once again, if anyone has any questions in regards to building a space in Blender or in Mona, feel free to ask. I'm just chilling out, working on possibly one of the first karaoke establishments in the world. Oops. Now those need to go down to about maybe there. Yeah. If I recall, seats are about 45 high on a random um, size thing that I did once. I don't know how true that is. So I'll probably keep to that, I suppose. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. Yeah. Yeah, that works. We also need this to be higher. About there. Let's go there. How many microphones should I have? Maybe 2. See how that feels. Okay, those are lower. Those are good. Next thing I want to do is some what do you call it? Post mix. The alcohol you have to get the staff to bring you. They don't have unlimited post mix alcohol, unfortunately, but be a little there. And there. There. Now, this is very much going to be a quick post mix machine. Just to get a feel for it. Yeah, and there's one more. So usually there's like 2 post mixes and 1 T over here. So that's accurate. Okay. Now, so that's that area. And up here, we kind of want just to quickly get a feel for the, what would you call it? The rabbit warren that is the karaoke space. So, you'd have a couple of doors there. Let's add. That's not as nice as I would like. Hang on. Okay. Good, good, good. So I'm actually going to join those two. Ah, there and there. So I'm going to actually have some rooms in here. And then we're going to sort of take these two, make them further out. Is there something I can do with that one? Bridge faces? Yep. Cool. All right. So yeah, basically you would have like 2 or 3 rooms here, 2 or 3 rooms here, and outside you would have rooms as well. So this is already like, I don't know, 10 different rooms. But of course I could go floors, I could do all sorts of things. So we'll keep that as a starting point. And once again, the doors I would actually probably put as either portals or artifacts that link to other spaces. So that way, each room is super high quality, but really small. So you and a friend could go sing karaoke, or you could have a really big one. So you could do all sort of really interesting stuff with a really small space that allows you to have a much higher quality result rather than a really, really big space, which is what you 100% can do with Mona. But the resolution or the quality of that space has to be a bit smaller because you're trying to stretch the same amount of polygons to a bigger area. So yeah, lots of options with that sort of thing. Once again, I'm just going to optimize some of this to clean it out. I don't need to because this is a block out, but what I'll probably end up doing is converting this block out to a final. So that's not an issue, to be honest. So let's just do that quickly. I think I can do that. Yep. 1, 2, 3. Another one you can do here is if I've done something with right mouse click, I can go Shift R and it'll just redo that. So that will sort of save a bit, especially if you're doing things like the thing that I'm doing. Was it merge to last? So I could go right mouse click, merge vertices at last every time. Or if I've done it once, I can just go Shift R and it saves a ton of time, which is great. Max may have been able to do that, but I don't think I knew how to. All right, this one can actually go up there as well. Yep. Now again, that's a mirror as well, not mirror, glass. So that's cool. All right. Ah, that's not great. So I'm gonna. Well, why? Yeah, that works. All right. Sometimes you will make mistakes. Now notice how this here is one polygon, and it's not so neat. So I'm actually going to clean that up, just to make sure that it is used or creating that asset correctly. Because sometimes it'll do weird things. So same here. I'm just gonna, if I can anyway. I cannot. Okay, not that one. Yeah, should be all right. Okay, now once again, I'm going to grab all of it, Control A. What that will also do is it'll move the pivot of each asset to 0, 0, 0. So if I rotate all of it, it will rotate from that. You can just do location, rotation, and scale. Scale is the main one that you actually need to change, not all transforms. So if you just want the scaling to work correctly, if you're doing inset or anything like that, apply scaled as a transform is the main one. I think I've just conditioned myself to always do all transforms for better or worse, but the scale is the important one. All right, let's give this a shot. Okay, we have our clipped hole, and all right, looks good. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, so let's have a look in here. We have our 2 microphones now. They are the perfect height. This is why I want strafe, so I can sing. That's what it comes down to. I think it's going to be interesting because if I was singing, I'd do this, but I couldn't see the words, so I'd have to sing like here. But if I put like some other screens in the room, that would also work. So it's not too much of an issue. Chair's good. Once again, yeah, it's about the right height. And the table, yeah, also pretty good. I think the chairs might need to go a little bit lower. So if I bend at the knee, yeah, so 45 as I originally thought. We have our post mixes here, and then we can go for a quick walk around our karaoke. So that's it. Like this is basically it. Like for a block out, this is actually pretty good. I kind of want to do a quick light map just to have a look at it. We can get rid of those two. So let's do a quick light map. Okay, so all of our assets need to be one on our temp blockout asset, the one we've imported. We actually need to put generate light map UVs. Go apply. That will, when we go to light mapping, it will create a second UV for all our assets, which is what we want. We want this to be a static. So yes, change children. So that way all of our assets are set to static. And then our lights, we actually want to be, well, this one we want kind of a shadow. So I'm going to put that as mixed. So we've got soft shadows. But this one, I'm just going to do baked. Yeah. Let's give that a shot. Okay, go to lighting. Now notice that we don't have any lighting settings, so I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to reduce, actually because this is such a simple space, I should be able to just keep these as is. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to move that up to 2048. Ambient occlusion, I'm going to put that on there. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the moment. Once again, if you have a more complex space, I would reduce these like considerably. Actually, let's do that. So let's go half on all of these. 256, 128. Cool. I'm going to save that. Hopefully, so our lights are mixed, so that should be baked. That's baked, so that's good. These are set to static. Objects have the generate light map UVs. So that should be good to go. Let's give it a shot. Alrighty. So that's pretty quick. Now I've made this. It's not the best unpacking, but it's also not much, so it's fine. So that is our light mapped blockout. Excellent. All right, I'm probably going to wrap up there for the evening. I will be continuing this probably after I get back to the what do you call it? The store that I'm making. So now this is, I don't have the store file, so I couldn't really continue this one. That said, I'm kind of super looking forward to the karaoke room. So I'm looking forward to seeing how far I can take this in a high quality asset. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Thanks for joining me. Have a good weekend, or so it's a Thursday still. Usually it's a Friday morning for me in Japan, but in LA it's still a Thursday. So yeah, thanks for watching and happy building.